What a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Good morning from Paradise Surfers. Happy Monday. It is September 29th. Did Uptober start a couple days early? Because last I checked, Bitcoin is now at $114,000. ETH bounced off our 3,900 target, looking good at, I think, around 41, 4,200 here. BNB, Solana. Everything's looking good, guys. So we'll talk about the markets. We will talk about where we think things are going from here. Maybe cover some news stories. I know Michael Saylor just bought more Bitcoin. I know there's some other stuff we're looking to cover. Some Donald Trump news, perhaps. So we will see where the live stream takes us. But with that, Nick, how was your weekend, my good friend?
Yeah, pretty good, and it was nice to see some green over the weekend. And so far, at least, this is the first Monday we haven't had a sell-off immediately after the weekend, even with Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin. So we'll see how this continues to go. And once we get this shared all around, we're going to take a look at the charts here, because we did, in fact, go right to the bullish retest on Ethereum that we've been talking about. Now, that wasn't what we were looking for. We weren't saying sell all your ETH and we're guaranteed to go down there, but we continued to say 38 to 3,900 is a retest of the breakout level. And if we get down there, there's nothing to be worried about. You probably need to get long if you still have cash and capital. And what do you know? It looks like we spring those levels perfectly. So let's pull up the chart here now. The comments we can see live over on YouTube. We cannot see them live on Twitter. So if you want us to react to in real time, get over to YouTube and do that. Here is the Ethereum chart. And here is what we've been talking about. We had the inverse head and shoulder with the buy down here at like 1,700. Teleported up to this consolidation zone that we drew on here all the way back there based off of this measure move. And what do you know? You retested the original breakout level. When we exploded through here, that became a major support level. We fell down to that over the weekend, maybe Friday, and boom, bounced off of it perfectly. The exact low was 38.31, and we held the 38.3900 level for a couple of 4-hour candles, and we are moving higher. Now, we shall see. This is a major consolidation area. Overhead resistance is going to be this 4,300 to 4,400 level, and we do have a bearish cross here on the moving averages. This is usually a lagging indicator. And you could say, hey, maybe that already resolved with this little bull flag that was formed. So, you know, we're not out of the water yet. We're not out of the deep end yet. We're still treading water. But so far, so good. Bullish retest worked out perfectly. Now, the biggest thing is, can we get momentum, get above these moving averages? Otherwise, we could see yet another correction. It is good to see that the NASDAQ is green today and trying to attack its previous all-time highs. We wanted to make new all-time highs. You don't want to get rejected here because that will put pressure on the risk-on assets such as Bitcoin and ETH. And, of course, Bitcoin doing its thing back over 114,000, leaving you all in the dust. Did you panic sell? Because, oh my gosh, look at that. See, I thought we were still below this moving average here, and I was going to say, hey, this is the time you could get rejected on Bitcoin. But look at that. Just the 10 minutes it took us to get live, we just green candled above the moving averages. That is great price action for the bulls. Even though, yes, we are overbought on the RSI, if you got above the moving averages, you can use them as support now, and we can see if we want to work higher, leading into what is going to be Uptober, an explosive Q4 of 2025 historically, and we believe an extension of the bull market into 2026.
Let's go, $114,000 Bitcoin, just like that. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Good work, good analysis. The crowd goes wild. You know, look, this breakout reminds me of a few things. One, it's easy to forget this sometimes, I think, but you know, the markets, they don't go up forever. They also don't go down forever. And so we were going to bounce. We were going to recover. We were going to have a rebound here at some point. Whether it was going to be this morning, whether it was going to be tomorrow, whether it was going to be yesterday, nobody knows. But Bitcoin wasn't going to zero, guys. So we were going to bounce. We were going to run. I'm glad to see this little move up to 114,000. Just thinking about my Frontier Fund traders. Hopefully they're along here. We'll have to see. But the volatility is great to see. And this uptrend is beautiful to see as well, right leading into October here, which we know is historically one of the best months for crypto and Bitcoin and the stock market too. Especially, I think this year is going to come true once again, because we had September ultimately end. I think. Well, we'll see where it ends, because technically it ends, I think, tomorrow or the next time. Either flat or a little down. And when that happens, that's setting the stage for a prime Uptober. So I was happy to see that. Markets don't go down forever. They don't go up forever. We are going to bounce. We're going to range. We're going to have some volatility. But wonderful to see Bitcoin 114K. And I'm just hoping our Frontier Fund friends were in along here. I know they made a little bit of money over the weekend, I think, and hopefully they make some more for us today.
Yeah, for the people in the Frontier Fund, if you wanted to take profits for the first 30 days, there you go. It was 10% gains in the last 30 days. There was only like $5,000 in profits actually taken, which means 97% of people just rolled over their profits for this next round, the final 30 days of this second round of the Frontier Fund. So hopefully we get some more gains. And then after that period, there's another opportunity. Whether you're already in the fund, it is forced profit taking. You can add to your position for the third round of the Frontier Fund. Or for those of you who just been kind of watching and waiting, you can see the results. Hopefully they have another great 30 days and finally you get excited to take the leap, buy 400,000 surf and get into the Frontier Fund and start earning that passive income. They're trading low leverage trading positions on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a tiny bit on BNB. They've had a 100% track record every 30-day period. And their target is 1% per day, which would mean 15% profits in your bag, even after fees are taken each and every month. You can take the profits, you can compound the profits, that's up to you. But it is a nice income stream or revenue stream on their 30-day period, at least so far, because I think they're like 8 months out of 8 months winning each and every single month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do here when the market turns properly bullish, because September was, it was up and down, let's be honest, right? End of August was explosive, okay, rate cuts coming, buy the rumor, okay, and we had a nice run up leading up to that cut as well, but then boom, it happens and it's a sell the news event, as we sort of predicted may happen. But, October historically one of the best months for Bitcoin. You're looking at 8 out of the last 10 Octobers have been in the green, and been in the green in a major way. We're talking double digits, we're talking some years was, 30 to 40% returns in October. Similarly, similarly November tends to be very, very explosive as well, particularly years after the halving, which we're in now. And then December can be a bit of a mixed bag. But Q4, we always told you guys, Q4 is the target. Q4 is the goal. We'll see how high we get. And then we'll sort of monitor and we'll sort of assess the situation once Q4 comes to close, and we can let you know, hey, we think this run is going longer and harder and higher, or we think money, Bitcoin's topped out and money's going to flow into alts for a couple of months, or we think, hey, it's the start of the multi-year or long-term bear market. We will let you guys know. But Q4 is looking great, so hold on to your bags. I hope you guys can get shaken out.
Yeah, the live show
last week's correction.
Live show on Friday, I believe it was, we kind of went through the math on some of the Q4s that we've seen in the bull market, similar timing. This is kind of how Michael Saylor's coming with this crazy 350,000 by the end of 2025, because the most bullish Q4 ever would put you right around 350,000. The midterm would put you right around my $240,000 target, my 244K. And then even the lesser of the terms was still $177,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025. And that's where you said, hey, that's more like it. Now, what will be interesting is that was based off the 4-year halving cycle Q4s. And we do say we think that's broken and we elongate. So it will be interesting if we still have such an explosive Q4, if we believe that we're heading into 2026 and beyond. Based on the macros and based on how kind of suppressed price has been the past few months, I do believe we still have a major upside potential to Q4. I think some people will try to pick the top, shake themselves out, and that's where we see continued quantitative easing, continued regulated guidance, the 5-year business cycle rather than the 4-year, and that's where we have that second leg up in the bull market in 2026 that I think is going to leave a lot of people behind, just because it is going to be tough. All history tells you, hey, when there's euphoria in this Q4, I'm taking profits this time. I'm not going to round trip bags. I'm going to sell off into the sunset. And then are you going to sell out? You're going to see a little decline. Think, all right, I was right. I'm good to go and sail off into the sunset. But then you forget, hey, 2026 can be just as bullish. Are you going to FOMO into the green candles in 2026 as well? So I think it is going to be a little tricky here. I think we're on the right side of history for the long term. All these assets go higher. But it kind of timing the market, timing the narratives, and really trying to take profits where we can during Q4, Q1, and Q2, because this is a whole new shift. This is the first time we have the 5-year business cycle. This is the first time we're getting quantitative easing beyond the 4-year halving cycle, and it's really going to directly affect the market prices of these scarce assets as we're seeing institutions pour in to these assets, and that's what is going to drive them higher. So we have a hard work ahead of us, and our community is going to make a lot of gains, but we're in the same shoes as you, trying to feel out this new cycle and trying to make as much money as we can.
Well, look, I'm never going to begrudge, I don't think you are either, Nick, anyone who decides to take profits in Q4. I mean, that would be a reasonable thing to do based on the previous cycles, based on quantitative easing that's coming up, based on, what everyone else, all the talking heads in the market are saying. The only question is, do you take, profits in the sense of selling everything and moving all of your holdings into USDT, or do you say, okay, I'm going to take some profits here and let the rest ride for a few months on the theory that, hey, maybe this cycle goes longer? To me, that kind of makes a bit more sense, but of course everyone's going to have to make that decision for themselves and look at their entire portfolio and what assets they're in and how much they have in the markets, and there's a lot to sort of factor in there. But the reason why I think we're not going to get an insane Q4 is a few reasons. One, I mean, Powell's still they're still in a tight quantitative sort of position. The rates are not at neutral. They're not even anywhere near Trump and Stephen Miller want to take them. We're still above 4% or right at 4% interest rates. They want to cut them down to 2%. The doves in the Fed, but we're not going to get there by the end of this year. So I think we're still going to have kind of it's not going to be an explosive period of time for risk on assets. Yeah, grind up, sure, but nothing explosive. Secondly, I mean, the market's matured a lot, right? Like, Bitcoin in of itself is over $2 trillion asset, whereas, if you looked at those years where things went really crazy, like 2017, even 2021, it was a smaller asset class, took less capital to move it. And then the institutions too, right? Just how they trade and how they operate is a little bit longer term, a little bit different. So I don't know. I don't know if we're getting 350K by the end of the year. But to me, I mean, we are going to go higher. And so anyone who's like, oh, I'm going to sell now, I just don't get that. Like, because whether we go to, 130, 150, 170, or 200 or 300, we're going higher. So, like, what are you doing selling right now?
Yeah, and we're talking about, hey, even if we think it's extending, is it still going to be a bullish Q4? I think this narrative or this chart here kind of shows you that most likely, because even in non-euphoria years, look at this. This is 3 years in a row of just green Q4s. This is mid-cycle bear market, everything still just green. You got all the way down here, 2013, a net plus 500% Q4. You have 2023 during the doldrum of the bear market, still Q4, very green. 2024, green for Q4. So like every single Q4, primarily except for 2018, is very green. And 2018 was right after we topped out in 2017 from $20,000 all the way down to $3,500 Bitcoin during that span.
Well, also 2022, but that was November was the FTX implosion. So that crashed the market too. So, I mean, set aside those handful of, and that was 2020 was a year after, the explosive bull run. So, look, this year is poised to do very well in Q4. How high it goes, I don't think anyone knows. I mean, come on, nobody really truly knows how high Bitcoin's going to go. My ultimate point, though, is that I think there is very, 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 very good chance that it is higher than $114,000, in 2 to 3 months from now. So that's all I'm saying. How high it gets, the crypto gods and the financial world gods will, aka Jerome Powell, will play a large role in that. So we'll see where things end up. But I'm holding on here, and then we'll see end of the year, taking some profit seems like a reasonable thing to do, and maybe even keeping a moon bag into 2026.
Yeah, I think new all-time highs for Bitcoin by end of 2025, no doubt. And I think Ethereum, everybody's like, I just want to get above 5,000. I think you're pushing 8 to 10,000 Ethereum by the end of 2025. So we'll see how things play out. It doesn't take money gains to make that a reality. With Ethereum here at 4,200, I mean, it like 10% rally puts you right at that $5,000 mark, new all-time highs for Ethereum, and that's where the fireworks could start. So another asset that hasn't cared to wait for Q4, well, that's BNB. We had a lot of good shorts come out over the weekend about BNB, about CZ, about Binance. Hopefully you guys watch those. And what do you know? If Ethereum is bouncing and Bitcoin is bouncing lately, you can depend on BNB to even outperform. BNB back above $1,000, $1,018 looking strong. It had its little ABC correction, and now it is rallying hard. I mean, it does not look like it wants to slow down. This looks like it's forming a parabolic move. BNB wants to put new all-time highs in place and get above $1,200. Pretty wild to see. And we'll stay tuned to see if any BSC chain projects want to start catching a bid. It would be nice if Floki caught a bid. Obviously, you have Aster doing its thing. We said if the $2 level gave away, you could expect lower lows. Well, what did you have over the weekend? $2 level gave away, and you got lower lows. It's almost like we know what we're talking about here. Still don't really have a position on it. It's hard to jump into these things, but we did go as low as $1.70 on Aster. And it looks like it still wants to go lower once again. This looks like 5 waves down forming, which means you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You put another low in. Maybe it's $1.60. Maybe it's $1.50. Kind of spook everybody out. Say they missed a train. And that actually would be a big bull flag for the next move to all-time highs towards $3 on Aster. Now, you're talking much smaller gains because this is a large cap. But if you're looking for large caps that have real revenue and have good backers, Aster's a play that we've been talking about. Haven't really taken a position. And Linea is another. We said it's going to continue sideways, and if it doesn't catch a bid or get to new all-time highs before the end of this month, I think it's going to have a hard time because there is its first major unlocks happening next month in October. And yes, it is Uptober, but if the rest of the market is going up, Linea catches a bid, and now all the VCs and pre-sellers are getting their first tranche of tokens, they are eager to hit the cash register. They want capital. They want cash. They want profits. It's been a bear market in all coins, and here's a pre-sale that they've all made a ton of money on.
Yeah, I'd stay away from Linea just because I think upside is limited and the downside risk is quite high given the unlocks that are coming from the venture capitalists. So I stay away from that. Aster, maybe a little bit better risk reward profile there, but it's already kind of run. I mean, how much higher can it really go? Maybe you'll do maybe another 100% in the next few months. We'll see. But I don't think you had to get in there and the CZ first tweeted it to get your 10x. So, good for those who got in there. And good for everyone who is tuned in and watching the live stream. Hello, Moonmutt. Hello, Martin. Good morning, me Chapo. And then also Todd. Always reminding folks to smash the like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely. Please do that, folks. Let us know what assets you're in. Let us know what assets you're bullish about. Let us know what assets you may have questions on, concerns about, maybe some low cap gems. I don't know. But happy to hear from you guys. Okay, actually, you know what? Look at this. It's as if Roan read my mind here. Okay, when ETH is at X, alts will moon. When alts moon, I think Roan is really positioned in alts and does not hold any big caps. It holds no Bitcoin and no Ethereum. I'm sorry, Roan. It's been tough. It's been a very tough cycle if you have not held any Bitcoin or any Ethereum. But I just think that we have to get a little bit more risk on before alt season comes. We need a rate cut in October. We need a rate cut, at least signaling towards that rate cut in December. And I think we will have an explosive alt season once we're fully in quantitative easing. Right now, the market's kind of skeptical. What's the Fed going to do? I'm a little scared still. I'm not going full balls deep into risk assets. So we might have to wait for those confirmations. But I do think there's going to be an alt season. And then whether your particular alts run, that's always a tough question. But Nick, I don't know if you have thoughts on the when alt season, but I think it's
we definitely haven't seen alt season, but remember with Ethereum at 1,500, 1,600, we were saying to get long, and Ethereum's gone up about 150% off that level, and many alts have done very much similar or outperformed. Like Floki, for example, is up about 250% off the low. Doge about 250%. So it's not alt season, but there is plenty of mid cap and large cap alts that you could dump as much money as you wanted to that are outperforming or staying pace with Ethereum. Even Pulse Chain itself is up 140% off the low, so keeping pace with Ethereum. So yes, we haven't had alt season. We haven't had a new narrative or sector that's really been explosive. The last time we had that was really the kind of the meme rallies, made some good money there. But people want to see strength in Ethereum. The market liquidity wants to see strength in Ethereum before alts can do their thing. And right now, Ethereum still hasn't even put in a new all-time high, really. You can say, I guess it wicked up there to 4,900. That's a new all-time high for ETH. Ethereum hasn't gone over 5,000 and really hasn't gone to new all-time highs. So if Ethereum hasn't gone to new all-time highs while Bitcoin has done a 2x already this cycle versus its previous all-time high, I don't think you can expect much out of altcoins. But we have seen some altcoin life, like I said, matching or slightly outperforming Ethereum in the mid cap and large cap section. Same with BNB, outperforming Ethereum. So it hasn't been exciting by any means, hasn't been euphoric by any means, but I think we're starting to see some good trends and some good tones set in the market when ETH shows some strength. But again, we've always said no alt season for ETH and 2 new all-time highs, and it really hasn't even had that yet versus its high that it put in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the quantitative tightening versus quantitative easing. We've been in quantitative tightening in QT since the basis entirety of this bull run, right? It's even a miracle, I think, that Bitcoin got as high as it did. Thanks institutions, thanks Michael Saylor. There hasn't really been that groundswell of retail interest in the markets whatsoever, and Bitcoin's, at 114,000. So I think that's good. Ethereum is a laggard, right? Alts have been laggards. Does this mean, though, that there will never be another alt season? Maybe that's what the market makers want everyone to believe. That's what, is in the minds of most retail. But I just don't believe that to be the case. We will have an alt season. The alchemy of factors haven't lined up perfectly for it yet. But, I have probably 7 or 8 altcoins that I'm convicted on. I haven't actually made any money on them. I haven't lost any money on them either because I've just been holding. I haven't sold. I'd be in losses if I sold now, though. Am I expecting all of them to do a 10x? No, I'm not, because that's just not a reasonable thing to expect. Am I expecting a handful to do a 10x? Yeah, I think a handful can once, ETH's 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10. I mean, if that does happen, then alts will really start to run. And your handful of bags that you feel like, oh, I'm so underwater on, they will start coming back to life. Have no doubt about that. They will come back to life their own. You will see some gains at some point this cycle. But it's sort of a reminder to, if you can, be diversified, because if you just hold 7 or 8 low cap altcoins, the risk is very high. There's also a risk that they don't pump because wrong sector for what gets hot this cycle, or the team shits the bed, or a community gives up. Who knows, right? It's just a lot of risk. So I always say, if you have the capital, have some Bitcoin, have some Ethereum, have some big caps, so that when you're looking across your portfolio and you're like, oh shit, alts haven't done anything. Well, at least ETH's done well, at least my Bitcoin did well, and I'm not completely underwater here.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. So Ethereum off the low is up 202%, but Ethereum has not broken this high from November 2021. And some people will be like, well, on this exchange it did or didn't or whatever. It doesn't matter. November 2021, we were at like 4,800 to 5,000 depending on your exchange. And this year we are at 4,800 to 4,900 depending on your exchange. So it's been since November 2021. The Ethereum all-time high is really still in place. I don't really even count these little wicks that we had here. So Ethereum hasn't even gone to an all-time high yet, so you can't expect alt season to be here. Bitcoin has 2x its all-time high already. So it's crazy that Ethereum is still lagging this much. Yes, it's up 2, 3, 4x off the low, but it's still lagging even Bitcoin so much, even with this Ethereum strategic reserve narrative kicking on, even though there's real, RWA wants to build on Ethereum, stablecoins are coming to Ethereum. In my opinion, there's such a discrepancy between the macro fundamentals of ETH and the price of ETH currently. That's why I think it's so undervalued. That's why I think it needs to play catch up in a big way. I think it will have an explosive move, and it's not until you take out these highs. That is crazy to think. November 2021 is still the high for Ethereum if you look at the charts. That is wild.
This reminds me of previous cycles too, right? Ethereum tends to lag. If Bitcoin runs and Ethereum's lagging and everyone's just shitting on it, like ETH sucks, garbage tech, it's so slow, blah, blah, whatever reason they're coming up with as to why the price is down, but really it's just because the market isn't that risk on at that time. And then eventually a flip switches. There's a catalyst or 2 or 5 and all of a sudden ETH catches a major bid and just runs like mad. Now, does it come crashing down at some point? Sure, but there is that glorious, 2, 3, 5, 6 months where ETH just has an explosive, series of moves, and everyone loves it again, and happy joy, and then the alt season happens, and we're on the moon again for a period of time. So I don't know. I just think that we've been beaten down this cycle. We've forgotten alt season. We've forgotten that Ethereum can run. We've just forgotten like the dopamine and the excitement that can come from when crypto's actually doing well. That you start to think it's never going to do well. When in reality, I believe it will. So just hang on here, guys. I mean, look, could we be wrong and everything shits the bed tomorrow? Yeah, I guess sure we could. But I'm betting on, I got a lot of money riding on that we're not wrong and that we are going to grind higher throughout the rest of this year and probably into 2026.
Yeah, another indicator for dog meme coins and large cap memes. You got Doge here is up 369% off the low. That's a good meme number right there. Gotta love the 6.9, up 81% off the recent low. It's holding its uptrend line, and the reason I'm saying to keep an eye on this is there's a rumor of Doge ETFs. There's rumor of Doge being talked about Elon soon, or Tesla accepting Doge. All these rumors always floating around. And Doge has showed strength at the low, forming good higher lows and higher highs every time, kind of consolidating and working its way up. So we'll see what happens here. There's also some Doge strategic reserve companies coming into play. So keep an eye on Doge as well if you're looking for a large cap play. I'm not a huge Dogecoin fan, but Dogecoin usually leads some of the other dog memes like Shib, like Floki, like Kaiken that we talk about, and just, gets morale good in the markets as well. And Doge is having fun. You see a lot more memes. You see a lot of much wows, and a different vibe falls over crypto Twitter that I think really brings up the morale and momentum for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We've had shitty vibes for months on end. Yes, like I'd say maybe 2-3 months ago when the market was like running for a little bit, that like people were happy again for a week. But otherwise, it's been shit. I mean, everyone's just been depressed. All our altcoins have been if you've held on to them or bought them at an inopportune time, which is frankly most people, you're down on your holdings and you're bitter and you're sour and you're pissed off, and we're ultimately feeling the same way. Thank God I had some Bitcoin to make me feel at least a little bit good, and some ETH. But it's been shitty. The whole sentiment across crypto Twitter has been shitty for the past few weeks, or particularly last week. So I think this is one of these periods of time where you sort of have to just grit and power through it. And Rowan, I think you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. We need that clear break of Ethereum's all-time high for the fun to begin. And I think that's that $5,000 psychological, that $5,000 barrier there. Man, when we hit that, we can be sustained above that across all the aggregators and all the exchanges, and you see that beautiful $5,000 ETH. That's when the shit starts to get fun. People get risk on. And look, there's a lot of money on the sidelines, a lot of stable coins on the sidelines. Money can just disappear. It will come flowing back into the markets, and hopefully some of our bags will do that 10, 50, or 100x.
Yeah, and talking about grit and belief, we do have Pulse Chain here, just kind of, lagging even Ethereum a little bit, but it is outperforming today. PLS up 6.26%, PLSX up 7%, Inc up 6%, and Hex up 9%. So good to see green over on Pulse Chain. Green Pulse Chain helps the Surf token go up, helps PTGC go up, and many other projects that we help work with over on that chain. So maybe Richard Hart is starting to wake up. Maybe people are starting to believe. Maybe the IRL marketing is starting to work. That's for you to decide. I really don't care how the green candles come. I'm just happy to see green candles happening on the charts when Ethereum's having some green today as well.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing to see Pulse Chain finally showing some signs of life. That's another example. An ecosystem that's just been beaten down, morale at all-time lows, Richard Hart's lashing out at people at times. I mean, it's been ugly the past couple weeks. We need some green candles to revive the positive energy within Pulse Chain. We're doing our best over here at Crypto Paradise. Always, smile on our face and hoping you guys think long-term and hope you make some money over here. We also got NJW in the house, Plasma launch, and SNL fed the streets last week, and I do not know what you are talking about, sir. I love it though. You're in the trenches. You're following new launching places. Good for you, bro. I got two kids. I can't spend my time doing that. But good for you.
New layer 1 that launched, I believe. I heard some people talking about it. I didn't really get involved. I didn't add it to my wallet. It's on the weekend too, so it's like But I have heard it come up, a new layer 1, and there has been a couple coins that have ran over there if you're in there early. So maybe you'll hear about that from us. The layer 1s are always tough because it's like if you jump in early, you have a chance at quick upside, but then it's knowing when to take your gains because not all these layer 1s play out for any kind of extended period of time. So definitely need to do more due diligence. Have had some people talking about it, have seen some gains, or at least on paper, and we'll see more about that. Hopefully, it keeps doing its thing. When you are a layer 1 versus layer 2, it opens up a more of a risk parameter, especially for the early users. Like, is your wallet going to get compromised? Are the gains going to be sustainable? Is there going to be a hack? Layer 2s are really copy forks of proven code with some minor twists, so it's a little less risky for users as well. But we'll keep our ear to the grindstone. I'll see if these people keep talking about it. We'll see if the paper gains turn into real gains. And that doesn't mean we're always going to be early, but we try to be safe with these things. We didn't lead people to Celsius or Luna or FTX or Mt. Gox or any of these things that people got slaughtered on. And sometimes that is mean you move a little slower, maybe you have a little less gains. But we're trying to make sure the wallets are safe first and foremost.
Yeah, you got to preserve capital if you're going to try to make money. So, manage your risk. But I don't normally ape into these new L1s or L2s. I don't like being cannon fodder for the VCs that bought in at fractions of a penny, on the dollar. So there have been times when we have gotten opportunities to invest alongside with the VCs. I think back to there was one that did pretty well for us for a minute, forgetting the name right now. But another one we got into last cycle, ZK Sync. That was a hot one for a minute. But you know what's funny? Even when you get in alongside the VCs, like I felt so happy getting into that ZK Sync round. They raised like $200 million alongside the biggest investors. You're like, great, it's going to launch at some tremendous multiple from what we got it at. It's going to list on all the big exchanges. Surely this is going to be an easy 10x. Mind you, by the way, I think we invested in it, didn't launch for like 2 years. So money was locked up for 2 years. It launches, and I'm at break even. Fucking great. Cool. So even when you invest alongside the best VCs in the world, sometimes you're at break even, let alone if I invested into it now. How is it going to do well from where it's at now? So, look, Plasma could do great. I know nothing about it. My guess is there's a lot of people who bought in much, much lower than you, or they're dumping on people's heads right now, and they're suppressing the price. They're making a lot of money, and unfortunately the retail is going to be, hope maybe they'll get 5, 10, 20% gains out of it. Meanwhile, these guys are sitting at 10, 20x. So I stay away. I hope this one does well. I see it's backed by the Tether CEO. It's like that guy needs more money. My goodness. So good for them. Good for that. I don't know much about it. Maybe it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm staying away. Oh, you're muted.
Another meme stock that we didn't talk about here. We got GameStop. Had a little bit of a dip at the Friday close, and what do you know? It rallied and got all the gains back. Up 24% since our 2 buys. Sitting at $27. Remember, the snapshot for GameStop holders is on October 3rd. So will there be a sell-off before the snapshot? Will there be a run-up before the snapshot? We shall see. I think GameStop goes higher towards $33. And I think that GameStop is going to be much higher by October of 2026 when the warrants come due. I just saw the lines. They released a new Spider-Man, a new Pokemon, all this stuff. Lines around the corners at GameStops around the globe. Sold out product before everybody in line could even get product. I think the revenue number is going to be coming in very good in the next earnings call for GameStop. They're doing their thing. They're making money. They're figuring out new revenue sources. And they're sitting on like $9 billion in cash and like $500 million of Bitcoin. So I think their books are looking pretty good as well. This is one of the most heavily shorted stocks by traditional institutions because they just don't understand it. The old fogies don't understand the millennials and what is going on there. They hate it. They don't want you to win. GameStop's going higher by the end of the year and definitely higher by the October of 2026 when those warrants come due.
Yeah. Fuck the shorts. Fuck Wall Street. Let's pump it. I love when GameStop does well, especially when you're talking about people lining up around the block to buy, tchotchkes. When you're lining up around the block to buy a tchotchke, that's a pretty good sign that you're in a bull market, folks. It's a pretty good sign when the Pokemon's at all-time highs, when collectibles at all-time high. Pretty good sign. People don't normally invest in stuff like that when they're feeling poor. So, does that translate into Bitcoin gains? Hopefully it does here soon. I want to circle back to NJ Dub because I do not want to ignore you what you had said, my friend. Yes, Plasma, the main net backed by Tether CO, third on deck screener. You know our take. I will just say one thing about the pre-sales and these big projects and how you can maybe get involved. So Nate our third partner here at Crypto Paradise, he is out there in the streets right now at the conferences, meeting with projects, gathering intel, acquiring leads for Crypto Paradise, and he's found a number of pretty impressive projects that I think are doing their pre-sale round or about to start. Projects that have big backers behind them, legit products, could be the next Aster kind of deal. And we are looking to secure allocations into these projects. So I know pre-sales been terrible the past few years. Well, look, pre-sales, just like Pokemon, require a risk-on environment. Very risk-on. We haven't had it. So is there going to come a time when pre-sales finally do well again? I think so. And that's when you want to be aligned with a group like Crypto Paradise, like the Surf DAO. There's other ones too. I know Coach K does good stuff. There's other means of getting into these exclusive private sale deals. But man, just a handful of those, and Roan's portfolio could be looking real juicy in 3 to 6 months from now if we get into a handful of good ones.
200,000 surf or more to get involved with that stuff, folks. That's what's interesting is everything that Crypto Paradise does, all the connections, all funnels back to surf. Whether you need a minimum amount of surf to hold to get involved, whether it's revenue from marketing deals going to buying and burning surf, whether it's revenue from DeFi yield, advisory clients, Frontier Fund, whatever it may be. There's a lot of things going on that can help you as a community member win and get more profits, but also the surf token find higher and higher floors moving forward, produce more yield, continue to burn, whatever it may be. So shout out to the surf token, shout out to Pulse Chain, and shout out to the entire Crypto Paradise community. And whether you're just tuning into these free live shows to get alpha and get in some trades, that's cool. If you want to take it more serious, we have the Surf DAO, we have the Telegram group, we got the surf token, and you can dive in even deeper into the Crypto Paradise brand and the potential gains that we could see the remainder of this bull cycle.
I think people are here for the entertainment or our electric, hilarious personalities, Nick. They are not here for the money, right?
There's a lot more electric.
Show, first and foremost.
There's a lot more electric personalities on Pump Fun, that's for sure. You can see people shaving eyebrows and stuff if you want that electric personality.
That's where the very low IQ people go. If you have a little bit of a brain, you stay away from that garbage and you hang out with us here at Crypto Paradise. I do want to circle back to one thing you mentioned there with the surf token and everything that we do is used to benefit that. If you don't mind pulling up the YakDAO chart, actually, for a minute here, because YakDAO is a project that had launched back on Base, long history there, and we relaunched on Pulse Chain. One of its utilities is that every transaction there's a token tax, and part of that goes to buying and burning of the surf token. And relaunches, I think it ran to like 400-something thousand. Nick can pull up the chart.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Dumped all the way down to like 60K, but hey, this weekend showing signs of life.
Yeah, I did not even realize it's done over a 2x off the low here. So shout out to anybody who grabbed that up on the low. The exact low down here was right around 49,000, up 150% off the low. I love to see it. I mean, the holder count is juicy here too. That's what's interesting is like the Crypto Paradise community, the YakDAO community, there's a lot of holders on this thing. I mean, 150% rally. Whew. I didn't even notice that. That's awesome.
What's great about it too, it seems like it's a lot of the OG original Yak community members that have been in from the beginning. And they've been through a lot. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. We all have, if you've been holding Yaks for a minute here. But it seems like a lot of them kept the faith, and they were the ones buying in on the lows. And it's obviously just my observations from watching people chatting on Telegram in the community. But it seems like that's largely the case. It's the true believers saying, you know what? I love the fact they have a real world asset down in North Carolina generating revenue. It's worth $1.5 million conservatively. The RWA itself, that property with the 3 glamping domes, the trout pond, the trails, everything they built, $1.5 million property. And meanwhile, the token is, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 market cap. And so I think the community, that's what I love about it, man. It wasn't just like tourists coming in, I'm going to, scalp it real quick for a quick 10% gain. It's, I believe, the true OG community members saying, hey, this is undervalued, I'm loading up more here.
Yeah, the nice thing about Yaks, why do we care? Number one, we were the ones, the Surf DAO was some of the first people to get the contract address when it launched at $16,000 market cap, and now it's at $127,000. So obviously we want the DAO members to win, so that's why we care. Number two, we have a vested interest. We have YakDAO tokens. I actually have equity investment in the property itself. So does Crypto Amaru and some people. So we want them to succeed. on a real world basis as well. But number three, and the most important, is it buys and burns the Surf token. So 0.5% of all the trading volume goes towards buying and burning the Surf token forever. It also buys and burns the X token forever. Now, why do we care about X? Well, X helps Surf launch, but also the third largest Surf liquidity pool is with X. So if X goes to the moon, the way LP bonding works, it makes Surf go to the moon. So that's another great incentive. And then, of course, all the volume happening on YakDAO. If you simply hold the YAX token, this is your back door into a PLSX bag, which is a blue chip of Pulse Chain, because I think it's 0.5% or 1% goes towards Yak holders as PLSX reflection rewards. Of course, we know PLSX is the second best performing blue chip today, up 6.72%. So simply by holding Yaks, you're earning some PLSX, you're burning Surf token, you're burning X token, and of course, there is going to be some staking to where you can stake your Yaks and earn real world yield on a monthly basis. So now you can have another income and revenue stream as well from the Glamping Dome. So that could all be a perfect storm. Obviously, you need alt season, you need Pulse Chain season. But love to see this price action, and love to know that anything that goes through on the Yaks token benefits a lot of our other bags.
Yeah, man. Happy for those guys. Happy for the community. Hope some Yaks community members are tuned in and listening to Crypto Paradise as well. So shout out to you guys. We need David to join the show and jump on an interview here and start doing some videos again to get the community excited again. That's Chief Yak, for those who don't know. That's the founder of YakDAO. Great guy. He's been transitioning, I think, his real world job to something new, so he's kind of been away for the past week. But should be back here, active again, ASAP, and I think that's going to help push things along further here.
Yeah, if you want to learn more, go to @the_YakDAO. You can see the contract address. You got their official website and some more information. Hopefully, we get some videos and some more information coming on this. But remember, always go to the official Twitter accounts to get your links so you don't get scammed. Everybody's trying to scam everybody in this market, unfortunately. So even though it's a website I go to a lot or whatever, I always go back to the official Twitter. I double check, make sure things look kosher, and then I use the links from here as well as the contract address to make sure you get the real tokens. Because even though YakDAO has 125K market cap, and even though it's on Pulse Chain, which is kind of a ghost town compared to Ethereum, there were still many fakes of this token. So if they're going to try to scam you for 100K market cap, they're definitely going to try to scam you for the big dogs as well. So always, double check with us, double check all your sources, make sure you're getting the right contract addresses for any of these tokens before you put your hard-earned money into them.
Yeah, for sure. Security first, safety first. Don't ape, before you've done your research, all that good stuff. I want to talk for a second about the likes of the YakDAO versus the likes of, we brought up Aster earlier, or Linea. I like investing in the low cap gems more than like the big VC back things. Look, I could be doing this all wrong, so don't necessarily follow me, although I've done well in crypto. But I like, being early, commute with the real community. You can get to know the team. You're one of the first 1,000 holders, or even 500, or first 100 holders in some cases. I like being the early guy. I don't like being the cannon fodder for the guy who was early. I don't know, why. Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. Who knows? But that's to me the difference in the YakDAO. And the YakDAO, look, at 120,000 on market cap. Do I know for certain it's going to go to 1.2 million this cycle? I don't know for certain, but it seems pretty not that difficult, right? 10x. I'm looking for that 10x on my, because I'm only putting $1,000 or $500 in this stuff. I'm not the kind of guy that's jumping 50 or 100 grand into some altcoin. I don't trust the market enough to do that outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So for me, if I'm trying to turn my 1,000 into 10,000. What do you think's the better and sort of less risky and more upside route there, like YakDAO or Surf or any of these other coins we like to talk about on the channel, or an Aster? I don't, look, I could be doing it all wrong, but I just feel there's a lot better chance to get a 10x on YakDAO up to a measly 1.2 million market cap versus 10x on Aster, which will bring into the top 30 of all cryptos.
I agree with that sentiment. Obviously, the low cap gems and the mid caps makes you look like a genius when it's actually alt season. We just haven't had that in a while. And we've still found games. Fuck 9 to 5, and some of these are still up 2, 3x. Yeah, obviously, they're off their highs because the narrative isn't there and the alt season isn't there. But still finding gems even when alt season's not going on. Finding gains, finding assets that even on the dip are still above our entries. That's the name of the game, and we're here for it. And I think we're going to really kill it when the alt season comes. And until then, still rooting for Bitcoin, still rooting for BNB, still rooting for Ethereum, as those drive our large cap holdings. It also drives our stock investments. SBET, we're heavy in that. We're up big, 100%. BMNR, we're up like 100%. And those are driven with Ethereum below its all-time high. What happens if ETH goes to 10 or 15 grand? I mean, those stock plays are going to make us fortunes. We're up on Coinbase, so it's a full portfolio. Obviously, we're more degenerates. We like the small caps, but we still have exposures to the large caps via hodl positions and via stock market plays. And I think you're going to win all around if you keep following Crypto Paradise.
That's smart. I mean, look, be diversified. Have the stock plays. Have the high upside. Big caps too. Be in ETH, be in Bitcoin, be in Solana, BNB, etc. There's a lot of ways to win this market. Unfortunately, the alts. I mean, we've just been languishing and down, and it's if you bought in at the wrong time, and it all comes down to timing, doesn't it? Right? So you bought in and at the high, you FOMO'd in, and then it's down 60-70%. That's that's common, frankly. You're feeling shitty. Conversely, this thing could be down. You could be, an asset could be down off all times, but hey, you were one of the first 100 people that bought it. You're still up 3x. You're feeling good. So all matter of perspective. It's a matter of timing. I don't know. I just yacked out 120K. I think the upside is there. We need Chief Yak back in the driver's seat. Shilling it from the literal and the figurative mountaintop. But excited about Yacked Out. Glad to see those guys are green. And let's see what happens next on Pulse Chain. I know we got a couple projects looking to launch over there that will also be buying and burning surf. And so we need some signs of life on Pulse Chain. I think things are going to be looking good over there too.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered everything. There isn't really much to talk about today. Obviously, we like the green candles. We got slight green across SBET and BMNR, slight green on Aster and Lineo, which we already talked about. So if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, throw it in the chat box now, and we'll get to that fundamentally, technically, whatever it may be. Other than that, it's a pretty lockstep day. Yes, Bitcoin's above 114,000, but it's up 1.6%. We see Ethereum is up 0.74%, so lagging to Bitcoin, which means that altcoins are pretty much all flat or up only a couple percent. Pulse Chain is actually one of the best performing altcoins in the entire market. We do have Zen up 11%, but other than that, Pulse Chain and the blue chips are the highest performing altcoins, at least when it comes to my trading view, which is a lot of mid caps and large caps and a couple small cap plays. And when we look at my DEX screener here, obviously DEX Tools wiped out my full list. I had like 50 on the list. Now we're down to like 20. Same thing. Rome is back above 50,000 market cap. Dubcat up like 2%, still right around $1 million market cap. And then you got YakDAO doing that 2x off the low over the weekend, up to 125K market cap. So nothing crazy going on. Hopefully this is the start of a bigger move, and we'll keep following along and coming live to you every single day. We got a lot of shorts coming out the remainder of the day, so stay tuned to the feed. And if you believe in us, go buy some surf, because the Frontier Fund, man, that is amazing. Another 10% passive income payout just occurred, and now they're starting their next 30-day period. And in 30 more days, you guys can join the round. I think you really should. Right now, there's over $700,000 in that fund. It's grown from only like $150,000 just a couple months ago. Let's see if we can get above $1 million between gains, rolling, and new investors this next round here in 30 days.
Very pleased with my investment in Frontier Fund. I mean, when the market's doing shit and you're making 0.5%, 1% still a day on this pretty decent chunk of money, you're feeling pretty good. So shout out to Frontier Fund. Keep up the good work. I will just leave you guys with this. $250 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum shorts have been liquidated in the past 24 hours. And we said this was going to happen. We said, look, this move down, this dump, whatever you want to call it, was highly manipulated. It was orchestrated by the market makers, Binance and Wintermute. And we said, given that, they're going to dump the price to kill the longs, and that's how they make money that way. And then guess what they're going to do? They're going to pump the price to kill the shorts and make money that way. And look, it's playing out exactly. So they manipulate the price down, then they manipulate it up. Like, leverage trading is a dangerous game. I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you're a professional. But for those hodlers out there who worry, oh no, it's going to go to zero now. The bull run's over. Sell everything. No, they're going to manipulate it up, and we'll be back at all-time highs soon enough with the help of these market makers and Binance.
Yeah, we were on the record last live show saying, hey, this is finally the year where the holiday season is great, because Bitcoin is ripping. We're going to see Ethereum start ripping. Altcoins are doing good. People are going to be talking to you and thinking you're the cool family member. And I'm still crossing my fingers that we see back-to-back years of a great Thanksgiving dinner where you're a genius. Bitcoin's at 300, 400, 500,000 in 2026. Ethereum's at 22,000, and you're the hero at least for 2 years, and then you're gonna have a few years where you don't want to show your face after that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, even at a $22,000 ETH, no one in my family is going to care about crypto. In fact, they'll probably hate it even more. Because you know what happens, right? When this shit's ripping and roaring, and you're sitting on your millions, and you're talking about your vacations, and your condo down by the beach, and you got your luxury cars, and your Rolex watches, and they're sitting there in their 9-to-5 job thinking, fucking hell, why did I fade this asset class 5, 7, 10 years ago? I could have been along with this guy. And they ain't going to want to hear it. They're not going to want to hear how rich you made. Trust me. I got friends who don't want to hear about how much money I made in crypto because they were there and they faded and I didn't and I held and that's how shit worked out. But they're going to want to hear from you in ETH at 22K. They'll be saltier than ever.
That is a good point. Jealousy runs rampant. So surround people that want to learn from you, not want to be jealous of you and talking behind your back. You want to surround yourself with people who want to be winners themselves.
Amen. Amen to that. I think your dog is also wanting to jump in the live stream here, so I'll let you take care of that. But good stuff today, boys and girls. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. And until next time, we'll see you on the beach.